Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today the three of us, Sabrina, Syuhada and Sofea, will give a presentation about morphological and syntactical analysis in English. We will start with a morphological analysis and then move on to syntactic analysis for today's presentation. So, can I get a definition of morphology before we go any further on this topic, Sofea?
Yes, Sabrina. Morphology is the study of words. Morphemes are the minimal units of words that have a meaning and cannot be subdivided further. There are two main types, free and bound. Free morphemes can occur alone, and bound morphemes must occur with another morphemes. An example of a free morpheme is bed, and an example of a bound morpheme is li. It is bound because although it has meaning, it cannot stand alone. It must be attached to another morpheme to produce a word. For example, free morpheme is bed, bound morpheme is li. And if we combine, the word becomes badly. A base or root is a morpheme in a word that gives the word its principal meaning. An example of a free base morpheme is woman in the word womanly. An example of a bound base morpheme is sense in the word descent.
Thank you, Sophia, for the explanation. Now, we all already know what is meant by morphology. So next, we will do a morphological analysis and we have chosen Japanese to do this analysis. As we know, Japanese sentences are built around grammatical markers known as particles. Each particle indicates how the word preceding it relates to other words in the sentence, most commonly the verb. The verb comes last, but the order of the words can vary because the particles, not the words, tell us who did what. So, Shuhada, can you please help me to read the Japanese?
Sure, Sabrina. Okay, let us look at the sentences. The first sentence is Pan wa oishidesu, mean the bread is delicious. The second sentence is Otoko wa hansamu desu, means the man is handsome. The last sentence is Hana wa utsukushi desu, mean the flower is beautiful.
Thank you, Shuhada. So, by just comparing the first and second sentence, you should be able to identify the words related to bread, man, and flower. You will probably realize that the subjects also appear before the adjectives in Japanese.
As we can see now is the table which represent the meaning of the Japanese word. So the first word is panwa, mean the bread, which is a noun subject. Next is otokowa, mean man, noun subject. Hanawa, mean flower, also noun subject. The next is oichides, which is mean delicious. It is an adjective, followed by kawaiides, means cute, also an adjective. And the last one is utsukushides, mean beautiful, also an adjective.
However, are these Japanese words difficult to understand? And is there more than one morpheme in these words? There appear to be some sound repetitions, implying that this word may be made up of more than one morpheme. For example, all the nouns are subjects and they end with wa. Perhaps wa is a suffix that indicates that these nouns are subjects. Similarly, if you look at the adjectives, they are also all end with des. This is also a potential morpheme. However, it is not clear what it may indicate: adjective marker, present tense marker, or declarative sentence marker. With these possible guesses, we can examine sentence in Japanese where these nouns are used as objects in a sentence and determine whether the sentence still ends with wa if the sentence is changed into the past tense.
These are some sample of sentences that might help you comprehend this topic better. So let us look at it together. The first sentence is Watashi wa pan wo tabemashita. I ate the bread. Watashi wa sono otoko mita. I saw the man. Watashi wa hana o kaimashita. I bought the flower. Watashi tachi wa sono otoko mita. We saw the man. Watashi wa hana o katte imasu. I am buying the flower. Otoko wa pan o tabete imasu. The man is eating the bread. And the last one is Otoko wa pan wo tabete imasu ka? Is the man eating the bread?
Thank you, Syuhada. So, from these additional sentences, we can now confirm our morphemic analysis for Japanese words and also identify more morphemes in Japanese. We can now conclude that wa is probably a subject marker while o is an object marker. The same subject marker wa is also used with pronouns or is commonly used to identify the object in which the verb is affecting. For example, the sentence I ate the bread, we can see that "or" is identifying the word bread as the object in which the action of eating is taking place. "Or" is basically telling us that the word bread is the object that the verb is interacting with. Notice that all the sentences still end with "ta", although the final word may not be an adjective. However, the verb buy or eat is in the past tense and the present progressive. This suggests that the suffix "ta" is not a tense marker nor an adjective or verb marker. The suffix "ta" puts a plain form verb into the past tense. It tells us that the verb is completed or happened before the present moment. Compare the final ending in sentence number 8, 9, and 10, and you will be able to confirm this. Questions do not end with the suffix "ta", but end instead with "ka". In Japanese, placing "ka" at the end of a sentence changes the statement into a question. So, use it at the end of a verb to make it a question or at the end of an interrogative form to make it into a demonstrative pronoun. Of course, there is a lot more to Japanese morphology, and we will not be able to identify all the morphemes in Japanese, but at least for now, we have now done a simple morphological analysis on Japanese words.
The morphological analysis is now complete. So, we'll move on to the next topic in today's presentation, which is syntax analysis. So, what exactly is syntax?
Let me answer this question, Sofia. So, in linguistics, syntax refers to rules that govern the way in which words combine to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. The term syntax comes from the Greeks, meaning arranged together. The term is also used to mean the study of the syntactic properties of a language. In a language such as English, the main device for showing the relationship among words is word order. For example, in the sentence, the girl loved the boy, the subject is in initial position and the object follows the verb. Transposing them changes the meaning. In many other languages, case markers indicate the grammatical relationship. Syntax is the proper order of words in a phrase or sentence. Syntax is a tool used in writing proper grammatical sentence. Native speakers of a language learn correct syntax without realizing it. The complexity of a writer's or speaker's sentences creates a formal or informal level of diction that is presented to its audience.
Thank you, Syuhada, for the explanation. So, as we can see now on the slides, are the subtopics under syntax. There are clauses type, sentence type, phrase structure rules, and transformational grammar. We will explain to you each of them. So, the first one is clauses types. There are independent clauses, dependent clauses, adjective clauses, noun clauses, and adverbial clauses. So, firstly, what is independent clauses? It is the clauses that are not influenced by any other sentences. That is, they can present independently, satisfying the basic clause condition. It is also called as main clause. For example, I play in the dog yard. Secondly, dependent clauses. Dependent clauses can be functional alone for the sentence completion meaningfully. They need to be used along with the independent clauses for support. Presence of only dependent clause doesn't fill or provide the complete meaning. It is also called as subordinate clause. For example, when I was returning from LA, I met with an accident. Okay, so now under dependent clauses, there are three main types of clauses that are the most important and crucial part of clauses. There are also other types, but precisely they are. So the first one is adjective clauses. Adjective clause is actually a general adjective in a sentence with both subject and predicate. And the example for this is the man who won the match years ago committed suicide. Next, we have noun clauses. As the name suggests, sentence comprising of a noun which can be either the subject or predicate. For example, I love the way in which Jeremy paints. Last, we have adverbial clauses. As for this one, do not confuse between an adverb and an adjective. Something that describes a noun or a pronoun is an adjective, whereas something that describes the adjective is called an adverb. So, the adverbial clause is a typical adverb present in a sentence satisfying the clause condition accordingly. For example, I may come late as I have the project submission.
So next, we move to the sentence types. First one, simple sentence. Simple sentence consists of one independent clause. An independent clause contains a subject and verb and express a complete thought. For example, Sofea likes coffee. Second one, compound sentence. Compound sentence consists two or more independent clauses joined by a conjunction or semicolon. Each of these clauses could form a sentence alone. For example, I like coffee and Sabrina likes tea. So for the third one is complex sentence. Complex sentence consists of an independent clause plus a dependent clause. A dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun, and it also contains a subject and verb, but does not express a complete thought. For instance, the dog barks when she hears a noise. So for the last one is compound complex sentence. Compound complex sentence contains multiple independent clauses and at least one dependent clauses. These sentences will contain both conjunction and subordinates. For example, he left in a hurry after he got a phone call, but he came back up 5 minutes later.
Thank you for the explanation, Sofia. Okay, let us move on to the phrase structure rules. Phrase structure rules are a type of rewrite rules used to describe a given language syntax and are closely associated with the early stages of transformational grammar proposed by Noam Chomsky in 1957. So we can see the next is the tree diagram. The tree diagram is a newer method for diagramming sentences. In a tree diagram, a sentence is divided into two parts, a subject and a predicate. They are made up of noun phrases or verb phrases. The function of tree diagram is to make it easier to see the parts and subparts of the sentence. So we can see the two basic units of the English sentence is the noun phrase and the verb phrase.
Okay, now I will be explaining to you the main phrase structure rules. So first we have sentence, and the unit for sentence is NP and VP. What is NP and VP? NP is noun phrase, while VP is verb phrase. Second, we have NP, which is noun phrase containing R plus N, which means article and noun. Third, we have VP, which is verb phrase containing NP. NP is noun phrase. And the fourth one is PP, which is prepositional phrase containing P and P, preposition and also noun phrase. And the last one we have AP, which is the adjective phrase, and the rule is prepositional phrase, which is PP. Okay, now I will give you some examples for better understanding. The first one we have on the slide is the boy, which is noun phrase. The is the article and boy is the noun. And beside this one, we have the boy in the yard. The is article, boy is the noun, in is the preposition, the is the article, and yard is the noun. And the second one we have uh, verb phrase, which is took the money. We verb is the word took, and the is the article, money is the noun. And beside it, we have took the money from the bank. Took is the verb, the money is the noun phrase, and the is the article, money is the noun. From the bank, from is the preposition, the is the article, and bank is the noun.
Okay, so for better understanding, we have provide some example of full synthetical analysis. Example 1, the old tree swayed in the wind. As we know, the sentence units of basic units of sentence is normal phrase and verb phrase. So for the normal phrase, the is the old tree and swayed in the wind is verb phrase. The as article, old as adjective, and tree as noun. Swayed as verb, and in the wind as prepositional phrase. In as preposition, the as article, and wind as the noun. Second example, the children put the toy in the box. The children as noun phrase and put the toy in the box as verb phrase. The children, the as article, children as noun, and put as verb. The toy as noun phrase, which is the is article and toy is noun, and in the box as prepositional phrase, as in as preposition, the as article, box as noun. The last example, the boy saw Josh with a crazy dog recently. The small boy as noun phrase saw Josh with a crazy dog recently as verb phrase. So the as an article, small as adjective, and boy as noun. Saw as verb. Josh is a proper noun with which is a preposition, a as article, and crazy as adjective, dog as noun, and recently as adverb.
Okay, now Sofia has done with the analysis part, and now I will be explaining about the ambiguity. What is ambiguity? Ambiguity is used to describe a word, a phrase, or a sentence with multiple meanings. The word comes from a Latin term which means wandering about. Ambiguity divided into two aspects, which is lexical and syntactic. Lexical ambiguity is the presence of two or more possible meanings within a single word. It is also called as homony. So, for example, John went to the bank. The word bank in the following sentence could mean the edge of a river or a financial institution. Syuhada, can you please explain to me the syntactic ambiguity?
Yes, sure, Sabrina. Let me continue the explanation. So, for the syntactic ambiguity, the syntactic ambiguity means the presence of two or more possible meanings within a single sentence or sequence of words. It is also called grammatical or structural ambiguity. The syntax or grammar can be understood in more than one way. There are some reasons. For the first reason is the use of pronouns without referring to reference, whether if it's a person or object. For example, we can see on the slide, Nora called her mother yesterday. They talked for 2 hours. She said she would come next month. In this sentence, it is not obvious who is going to come next month. The pronoun she may refer to Nora or her mother. The second one is the use of coordinating structures that links between two or more elements. Connectors can cause confusion between grammatical classes, or in other words, can result in structural ambiguity. For example, the doctor examined old man and woman at the hospital. The phrase old man and woman is a structural ambiguity in which whether the old man and old woman are examined by the doctor or the old man and woman of any age. So the last one is The use of preposition which lead to the syntactic ambiguity, and this is the most common. The example is Sherlock saw the man with binoculars. The sentence can be in two meanings. Either Sherlock saw a man and he used binocular to see, or Sherlock saw the man and the man was using the binoculars.
Thanks, Syuhada, for the explanation. So we move to the last aspect of syntax, which is transformational grammar. Transformational grammar, also called transformational generative grammar, a system of language analysis that recognize the relationship among the various elements of a sentence and among the possible sentence of language and uses processes or rules, some of which are called transformation, to express these relationships. Transformational grammar also originally interpreted as string operations, mapping one string onto another by reordering, inserting, or deleting material. For the example, first, Mary saw George recently can be recently Mary saw George. The next example, you will help Katie, can be will you help Katie? And by referring to the tree diagram, the sentence can be in different orders but still have the same meaning.
As for now, we have done with all the analysis. So, to wrap up today's presentation, we will go through some of the reasons why we should study morphology and syntax. So, firstly, the other language awareness, phonological awareness, it is influenced by morphological awareness. Morphological awareness aids pupils in effortlessly comprehending literature. It occurs as a result of the pupil's vocabulary knowledge, which allows them to identify words and recognize their meanings when reading.
I agree with you, Sabrina. The next one is morphological analysis may assist anyone in inferring the meaning of some words while also making learning new words easier than it would be otherwise. Whether they are words we see on the street, read in a written text, or hear in spoken messages, they are all words. When we don't know the actual meaning of some terms or do not have a dictionary on hand, knowing the termination of the words and their meanings might come in helpful for English teachers and students. As a result, familiarity with affixes and suffixes, as well as their function in words, is essential. It demonstrates how language may be flexible. Students can use morphological knowledge to convert the meaning of the word like into a variety of options, such as unlike, probable, unlikely, likable, unlikable, likeness, unlikeness, to more correctly and precisely to communicate their message.
So for syntax, studying syntax is relevant to a lot of subject areas in linguistics. We must study syntax to understand how children acquire their language, how they start constructing sentences, and what stage do they learn to the synthetic rules of the language. And it's also good to study syntax so we can understand how bilingual and multilingual speakers are able to construct their sentences despite having different structures for different languages. And the sentence structure isn't the same in English as in Japanese. Studying syntax gives us many answers which are necessary for understanding how language work, as well as being the doorway to future research and theories on all aspects of linguistics. We also study syntax to develop set rules and constraints on the language.
Now, our presentation is already over. Thank you to my group members, Sofea and Syuhada, and also our beloved lecturer, Madam Fazia, for taking the time to view our group's presentation. And also, please accept our apologies if there are any flaws or errors, whether deliberate or inadvertent. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Mental.